Hello there. So today I want to share about what I want to talk about predatory journals or how to identify fake journals and differentiate them from credible ones. One thing you have to understand is that when you're planning to publish your manuscript, your academic work, then it's important for you to get a credible publisher, one that will promote your scientific work or your academic work rather than bring it down. So I want to talk about a few characteristics of fake journals, and maybe the way I'd use it is to show you a credible journal, then differentiate it from a fake one. So one of the things about credible journals is that they will have their details clearly indicated in their journal. Like this, we can see have teaching. It's teaching and teacher education. This is one of my areas, so at least I understand it very well. And published by Elsevier, a credible and a reliable publisher. And a credible journal will have all the details there that are verifiable, whether it's emails, whether it's links, whether it is editorial board members, which is not the case for fake journals. In fact, one of the characteristics of fake journals or predatory journals is that they mimic the real one. So, in fact, I have seen some journals where they have a logo more or less like this of Elsevier. So, if you're used to seeing credible papers from Elsevier, for example, then you would just see the logo, and then because the way our minds work, you just think, oh, this is another Elsevier journal. So you will be tempted to publish with that. Look at this other journal. This is a credible one. And still I'm talking about education, teacher education, because I said this is one of my areas. Professional development in education, another top journal within the field of teacher education. And it is also published by Taylor and Francis. So you may find a fake journal that is mimicking either the logo or even the name. They may have, for example, professional development in education international, and have maybe colors like this, blue, something like that, something that would easily make them relatable to the others so that academics are not able to differentiate. And a credible journal will always have details of their editorial boards, and these are credible details. They are verifiable details. You can go check who these editors are, their institutions of affiliations. Now, fake journals will have something close to this, but then these could be fictitious, or they could be individuals who may be really in institutions, of particular institutions. But then again, when you go in to check more, you'll realize that the ultimate aim of having these journals is ulterior. They're just interested in money. In fact, that's what the other characteristic of fake journals. Their priority is pay. And because their priority is pay, they rarely decline an article for publication. So if you, if you submit, sorry for that, if you submit a manuscript, however bogus it is, there's another video I created where I was talking about a very bogus paper that some academics, some researchers decided to try this out. They actually created a manuscript where they had only 4 or 5 words: "Get me out or off your mail list," And they decided just to repeat the same words in the abstract, in the introduction, in the conceptual framework, just the same 5 words repeated all through. And funny enough, the journal accepted, and they said, we're in receipt of your paper, and we're very happy to receive it, and we've accepted it for publication. Please just make minor amendments. I don't know in the methodology or what. Because the reason is, these people accept anything and everything that comes their way. Why? Because every accepted paper means income to them, because they'll ask you to pay. It could be something like $50, $100 that they'll ask you to pay, so that for them it is money coming. They don't mind. They don't really care what that article is all about. So the editorial board, like I've said, some of them may be fictitious, but there have had cases where some academics found their names in some journals that they were editorial board members without their awareness. Because you see, these fake journals are looking for people to just get them to support them without their awareness. So that is something that we need to be careful about. But if you go to a credible journal like this one, you will you can use it you can verify, you can write to these authors and find out even their publications, and you realize these are serious academics in this particular field. All right. And then another characteristic of fake journals is that they have short and realistic review time. So you find that I actually saw one recently where a paper, they said they accept papers within 4 days. They have accepted for and published it. And I thought this is quite unrealistic. By the time you're sending an email, think about a global journal. Now we're not even talking about institutional journal or even a regional journal. We're talking about a global journal that accepts papers from all over the world. How is it able to receive a paper today, by tomorrow have it go through peer review, and then be able to format it, what we call typeset it, format it in line with the journal's style, and then have it published? That's quite unrealistic. So credible journals normally have a process. They will receive your paper, and then once they assess, the first stage is normally assessment. Is this paper in line with our journal? Once they realize that it is something in line with what they do, then they will send it out for peer review. The reviewers will be given 2-3 weeks or even shorter time sometimes, especially for journals that are very competitive, and there is something that they give to the reviewers. They give some bonus or something to the reviewers. Then they may take a shorter time. But most journals don't pay their reviewers. These are volunteers. I've acted as a reviewer for quite a while, and I review journal articles. So you're given 2-3 weeks or even a month to go through the work and give your feedback. So after that, the editor will look at the feedback from the reviewers. So reviewer 1 says accept with minor revision. Reviewer 2 says accept with major revision. Reviewer 3 says reject. So the editor will look at it and say, okay, I think this one has good. I will accept, but maybe with major corrections. So that's a balance, that's a neutral position. Of course, they will also go through the comment and realize, okay, no, this one is reject. This one did not understand this one, okay? So they will make a decision and then they'll communicate. So if it's accepted major revisions, then their comments they'll give you, the comments that the reviewers have raised, they'll tell you address this comment 1, 2, 3, 4. So once those ones are addressed, which is also taking you time, another maybe 1 month, and then you send it back to them. Once you send it back to them, they look at it again. So it becomes a process until finally they said, now we're satisfied with what you have done, we'll accept. Now wait for us to typeset, then we'll give you for proofreading, and then you submit for final publishing. So that takes time, that takes months, that takes several weeks. So for a journal to say that they'll accept a paper in less than a week, then you should know that is that's a fake journal. And I've already mentioned the money aspect where I want to show you an example of this, which is, I said this is a credible journal. Those in teaching education or professional development of teachers, you can send to this because it's a top journal and a very interesting one, like the one on professional development in education. And this journal, articles publishing charge for open access, meaning they have a hybrid model. If you want to publish open access, they give you this option of paying this amount of money. But if you're not going to publish open access by the way means anybody can access it anywhere. So they're bearing the cost, so they transfer the cost to the author. So once you pay this, it means your article can be accessed by anybody all over the world. Okay, that makes the article highly citable and things like that, accessible. People can read your works. And if it's something that is useful to mankind, then it means many people have access to it. So it becomes highly cited and things like that. But if you're not able to pay for open access, then it means you're able to use the other model. I can't remember that the name is green model or something, where you pay and then whoever needs to access your article will either pay for it or access it through the institution or something like that. So credible journals normally will give you an option of either this or that. But then fake journals don't give you an option. They just really pay $100, $500, and $1,000 and things like that. But a point of caution, however, is we have some credible journals that don't give you the option of paying because those journals are full and they'll tell you this is a fully open access journal. But then if you look at the other characteristics, then they have a credible board, they have a credible peer review process, they have everything else is credible. So people should be careful not to dismiss any journal that asks for money only and say this is a fake journal. No, it's not. So we need to be careful about that point. And then I've talked about the peer review time and things like that. I think I had one more point about unreliability of fake journals. A fake journal will have, let me tell you, for example, you can see the link to this journal here. But for fake journals, that link might be here today, and then tomorrow, once they're discovered, they just close shop, you know. It is non-existent. Then it goes down with your work. And so that's the problem. And once you have published your work, you cannot again publish it in another journal. So we need to be careful about where we send our manuscripts to, because you do not want to be duped. And so we need to be careful. I wanted to show another, there's an article that I published some times back in 2019, and if you're able to access it, well and good. And if still you're not able to access, you can let me know so that I can send you a copy. At least all of us normally have a copy that they can share. But in 2019, I published an article on predatory publishing. What happened is I had published an article, peer-reviewed article, well done. And then fake journals began reaching out to me because, you see, because it is a business, they're always interested in duping academics. In fact, that's one of the things we really need to be careful about. If you're a genuine academic, you're beginning academic, sometimes you may, they look for unsuspecting academics and researchers. They'll tell you, oh, we have this journal, we've seen your work that you've published in this place, and we realize you're such a, you know, such an authority in your area. We're inviting you to be our guest editor or to be our reviewer or to be our, you know, and then they'll tell you, we'll even have incentives. You'll publish for free, don't pay. While people pay $500, you will not pay because you're one of the guest editors, or you're going to be a member of the editorial board. Say they lure you, they try to attract you, because you see, once they have you on board, then it helps other people when they look at your work and they, oh, this person has published here, and I know they have published in other places, which is credible. So it brings confusion and people get lured into the trend. So we need to be very careful where we send our works to. And such journals, they will tell you, submit your work, and also share this with colleagues or other friends and other people. So they're trying to widen their net so that they can have as many papers. So we need to be careful. So this one was just talking about how I collected the emails they were sending to me, and then I wrote a paper out of it. Yeah, the things they do and all that. It's interesting paper. You may want to have a look at it. But as I conclude, I want to mention something about institutional journals as well as beginning journals. Sometimes people confuse institutional journals and they term them fake or predatory. Institutional journals are not, unless they're of course following the procedures or the characteristics. They have the characteristics of fake journals. But I would like to encourage institutional, by institutional journals, I mean a university may decide to begin a journal, one of the departments may decide to begin a journal on this particular area. But we can make it better, especially those in Africa, my context. We can make our work better because we do not have to have, we need to follow the scientific processes. If it is peer review, let it be done as it should be done. And let's avoid inbreeding. You know, sometimes I have seen journals where the editor is the head of department, the editorial board members are all the faculty members there, and then the papers published are just of the same people and their students. So that loses meaning at the end of the day. It's like inbreeding. We call it inbreeding, you know, because you're just producing your own work. I know this is so and so's work, so I may not even critique. Sometimes it is my boss' work, so I'm very careful not to question so much. So that loses the scientific rigor, and we need to be careful. But if you follow the due scientific processes, then that journal can grow, and even other people would be interested, other academics would be interested in it. So yeah, I hope you've learned something about fake journals. And it's very harmful to your career by the way to publish in fake journals, because you can imagine if you have so many publications in fake journals and then one time they just go under, they disappear with your work. You want to go and present, people want to verify what you've published, they can't find. Or it makes you look like you're somebody who is interested in quick publication, quick gain, so that you can be promoted or get these grants or get this portfolio. So we need to be very careful about fake journals. So yeah, I hope you have learned something. Please like the video and subscribe so that you can learn more about research and publication. Thank you very much. Yeah, enjoy.